Hello everyone, I'm Michaela Kathleen. Happy Women's History Month. For this video, I wanted to talk about positive depictions of sex in books. I think there are several YouTubers that have done videos just about depictions of sex in books. I'll link down below. Errol Bissett has a really good one, but I specifically wanted to look at positive depictions of sex in books, and this is going to be mostly related to the straight female perspective as a female myself, and because I feel like, girls get a little bit different socialization when it comes to sex and sex education growing up, and I feel like there's maybe not as much positive depictions as there should be, because I feel like girls maybe sometimes can get a little bit inundated as young teens with stories of rape and teen pregnancy and just characters who have like total emotional breakdowns after having sex for the first time. This is specifically mostly referring to characters who are having sex for the first time. And I think those depictions are important too. It's important to teach young girls about safety and being emotionally ready and being safe. But I feel like girls can kind of start to drown in that, and it becomes a very scary thing. And sex shouldn't be just scary. They should also be seeing depictions of what healthy, safe sex looks like, and they should know that their first time doesn't have to be terrible. And of course, rape scenes are not sex scenes, because rape is not sex, rape is rape, but it is something that I feel like girls get a lot of when they are younger, which again, important to have girls be aware and be safe. Not that it is on girls to prevent that, but education is of course helpful. But I am including talking about these because of how much girls do hear about that growing up. I know I myself was assigned Speak to read in my freshman year, which is a very good book that I do definitely recommend to both young girls and young boys. It's educational, but it's also quite scary. And so just having these other stories that are showing the healthy side is also an important part of sex education. And so yeah, I have a few books here that have positive depictions of sex in which characters are having consensual, healthy, safe sex, where there are not pregnancy scares and emotional breakdowns and whatever else. So the first one I have is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. I particularly like this one because it actually has 2 sex scenes and an implied sex scene. Now, this is not like I particularly enjoyed this one in a titillating way. That's not like what I'm looking for in these sex scenes. I just like that it had kind of a sustained sexual relationship that is healthy. The next one I have is Forever in Blue by Anne Verschuurs. This is the 4th book in the Sister of the Traveling Pants series, and this series actually does feature 2 sexual experiences for characters that are very negative. The first one is Bridget, who has kind of an emotional breakdown after her first time, and she goes into really a deep depression after her first time. And then the character of Tibby has a pregnancy scare that totally ruins her relationship for a while, and these were both like very scary things to read in early teens, although again, important to show that you should really, examine your feelings and not rush into things and make sure that you are ready. And also important to show that, accidental pregnancy can occur, and it's something that you need to think about beforehand. But then Lena in this book has a experience in which she is very ready. She feels very happy about it. She doesn't have any scares afterwards. And so it was kind of nice to see this more positive depiction after these two very more scary depictions. And it, kind of showed that, these scary experiences aren't the only ones that can occur. And Lena, for a long time, is dating someone in the series that she doesn't have sex with because she feels like she's not ready. And then she gets to this point where she feels like she is ready with this different boy. And so it's a nice to watch her journey of knowing herself and really thinking about how far she wants to go in any given situation that she gets into throughout the series. And it's one where with the first boy, you're kind of able to see the process of consent, and she has multiple experiences with this first boy that she's going out with where she's willing to do some things but not other things, and she's, communicates what she wants and doesn't want. The next book I have is If I Stay by Gail Forman, and the sex scene in this, they do not explicitly have sex. It would seem that they do other activities, but it's actually a really beautifully written romantic scene, and it is a much longer scene than a lot of the scenes in these other books, even though it would seem that they don't go all the way. And so this is just a really beautiful scene to read, in which the two characters are very attentive to each other's needs. Next, I have The Spectacular Now by Tim Tharp. And for this one, I actually really liked the movie adaptation of the sex scene that is in this book. The scene in the movie was just very realistic to what a first-time experience looks like and is like. They make sure to communicate with each other and check in with each other on if they're all right and their pain levels. And so it was just a very realistically shown scene. The book is slightly different in that the girl does have a previous experience before the one that is shown in the book. That is a rape experience, but the experience that is actually shown in the book with her current relationship that she is in is very nice, and the characters are very in tune with each other and communicating, and she is able to communicate with him afterwards about her previous experience, which is helpful to her. And so it's still a very nice positive scene within the actual book, the scene that is depicted. And my final book is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This also felt like a really realistic scene. It felt kind of like the book equivalent of the movie scene in The Spectacular Now, in which it is just very, very quiet and slow and calm. And Hazel actually says that the experience is not particularly painful or particularly ecstatic, which feels very real. And it just ends up not being as big of a deal as it is sometimes built up to being. And so it's just a very comfortable experience. So yeah, this is all I've got out of all of my books for positive depictions of sex. I feel like there should be more out there. It's only 5 books. I think it's important to show that sex, and especially first-time sex, does not have to be something that emotionally crushes you if you make sure to examine your own feelings and make sure that you're really ready. And first time isn't necessarily always going to lead to pregnancy scares if you practice safe sex. And yeah, sex basically, it just doesn't have to be this thing that you're scared of. I don't think it's healthy for young girls if that is the only stories that they receive, because that can actually lead to a worse first-time experience if you have all this built-up fear from only receiving stories of terrible first-time experiences. So thank you for watching. I will be doing kind of women-themed videos all month this month for Women's History Month, so keep a watch out for those. And thanks for watching. Remember, words matter.